Hello everyone, I'm Priyansh Bhattacharya, and in this video we'll be building a minor project which is text editor in Java. Okay, so you guys will be familiar with the Notepad in Windows, right? So let's search for Notepad in our Windows operating system. So if we check the features of this Notepad, what do we have in this? Okay, so you can see there's a text area. We can write anything here, right? So hello everyone, my name is Priyansh Bhattacharya. Okay, so yeah, I can write anything in that, and this complete gray box is our text area, right? In this, we have a menu bar. In this menu bar, we have some menus, right? So in this menu, we have some functions. The first one is new, second is new window, third is open, and save as, and so on, right? So if I click on open, I can open some another file, right? So I can just save this file, and there's a file picker opens up, right? And I can select the file name here, right? And I can click on save button and so on, right? And in the edit menu, we have some of the functions like undo, paste, find next, find previous, right? So these are the functions that are present in our notepad in our basic Windows operating system, right? So this is kind of a complex one. So we are going to build a simple text editor in Java. So we are going to use Java Swing for that purpose. Okay, so Java Swing is a library that builds a graphical user interface. We will be learning in further videos. Fine. So let's discuss what will be the features of our notepad. Okay, our text editor. So let's see. Now, what I need is a simple window. You can see, right? I need a window. Inside this window, our application will be created, right? So we will be creating a simple window like this. So we call it a frame. We will be talking about it in the further videos, right? So this will be our simple frame. Inside this frame, I'm going to have a menu bar like we have in the notepad. Now in this menu bar, I'm going to have two menus. The first one is going to be the file menu, okay? And the second one is going to be the edit menu. Okay, you can see inside the notepad we have three menus, but we are going to make these two menus only. Okay, now after that we have our text area here, right? So we are going to write the text inside this text area. Fine. So what are the features that I'm going to implement in this minor project, that is text editor using Java? So the file menu is going to contain some of the features like new window. Okay, the second one is going to be the save file. Okay, the third one is going to be the open file. Okay, and inside the edit menu, I'm going to have five functions. The first one is going to be the cut, copy, paste, select all, and the last one is going to be close button. Okay, so now you guys might be familiar with what these functionalities are. So what new window does is basically this opens up a new window, right? If we go in the notepad, okay, if we go in the notepad, and if I click on the new window, so it creates an identical new window feature, identical new window, right, of the notepad. And similarly, if I click on open, it is going to open a saved file. Okay, and if I click on a save, then it is going to save the current file. Okay, the current text that is present inside the text area. Fine. And the cut, copy, paste, you are all are familiar with this functionalities, right? So cut basically cut the selected text and copy the copy. What copy does is basically just copies the selected text, and paste. What paste does is basically whatever data that is present inside the clipboard. Okay, so whatever we have copied or whatever we have cut to the clipboard, it will be pasted to that text area, right? And select all means that all of the text that is present inside this text area, right? Present inside the text area will be selected. Okay, and close button, it will close the editor. Okay, so these are all the functionalities that I'm going to implement inside the text editor. Okay, fine. So let me just show you the demo of the project. So what our project will going to look like. So let's run it. So this is the simple text editor that is created in Java Swing. Okay, so this is how a Java Swing application looks like. So inside this, I have two menus. The first one is file menu. Inside this, I have three features. The first one is new, open, save. And inside the edit menu, I have five features. The first one is called cut, second is copy, third is paste, fourth is select all, and last one is close. Okay. Now inside this text area, I can write anything. So let me write it. Hello, everyone. This is my minor project, which is text editor using Java. Okay, or we can say using Java Swing. Fine. Now inside this text area, I can write anything I want. So whatever this white box is containing, this is the text area. Okay. Now I have three features. The first one is the new window. Okay, so when I click on this new, it is going to create the another identical window. Okay. Now you can see when I click on the open, but open when I click on the open feature, you can see it opens up the file, or it opens up the uh, file picker, and inside this file picker, I can select the files I want to save, for the files I want to display inside the text area, right? So let me just select a file, a text file. Okay, there's no text file here. Let's go to user, Priyansh, and there's going to desktop here. And here I have a text file. Let's see the hello.txt, and inside this I have hi, I am Priyansh. Okay, so if I go to the desktop and I select for the hello file, you can see inside the notepad it's also display the same text. Okay, now let's go to back to the editor, and if I want to save this file, okay, if I want to save this file, I can just go to the file, go to the path where I want to save it, right? And let's go to desktop. Okay, inside this desktop, I'm going to create a file. Let's call it my text editor file. Okay, and let's click on the save button. Let's go to desktop, and you can see on the my text editor file, I have the same text that is present here. Fine. Now, when I click on the edit menu, I have five functions here. So what I can do here is when I select, let's say if I select this Priyansh word, and when I click on this cut button, you can see it has been cut to the clipboard. Okay, now when I click on paste button, it is going to paste the selected text. Okay, now suppose I want to paste it here also, it is going to paste it here. Now suppose I want to copy it, okay, and I want to paste it here, I can do that too. Okay, if I want to copy all of the text, if I want to select all of the text, okay, if I want to select all of the text, I can just click on the select all button. Okay, And let's just copy it and let's just paste on it. Okay, so you can see I can paste it here, right? And when I click on close button, it is going to just close the editor. So this is the complete brief of the project. So this is what we are going to build in our further videos. Okay, thank you. Hello everyone, myself Priyansh Bhatnagar, and in this video we'll be talking about what technologies we will use for our minor project, that is the text editor in Java. So the only technology that we are going to use for this particular project is Java Swing. So what Java Swing is? So Java Swing is basically a package inside Java language. So it basically provides some lightweight components to build a window-based application. Okay. So inside this package, I have different types of classes that are predefined inside it. Okay. Now suppose there's a class. So there is a class, let's say JButton. So JButton is a class that is used to create a button inside a window-based application. Okay. So this JButton will create an object that will be behaving like a push button. Okay. And there are some other classes as well inside the Java Swing that we can use for our window-based application. Suppose there is a class J checkbox. If you want a checkbox inside a page that is contained in our window-based application, then this J checkbox class is going to implement that checkbox. Okay. So this is how we are going to use the different classes that are present inside the Java Swing library or package, we can call it. Okay, fine. So let's discuss what will be our design for the project, how we will design, how we will be using Java Swing for our project. Okay, so in our project, we are having a window. Okay, we are going to have a window. We discussed in the last video, right? We have a window, right? And inside this window, I have a menu bar, right? And inside this menu bar, I have two menus. The first one is the file menu, right? And the second one is the edit menu, right? Let's just zoom it. Okay. We have our edit menu here. And this was our text area, right? This was our text area. So inside this file menu, I have different functions that were new window, save file, open file, and so on, right? And inside this edit menu, I had cut, copy, paste, and so on, right? So how we are going to implement this particular window-based application inside the Java Swing, okay? Using the Java Swing library, okay? Fine, let's discuss the design here. So what we are going to use, okay? So we are going to use a class called JFrame, okay? So this is a simple class that is used for creating an application window, okay? So we need an application window to display that window to the user, right? So display that text editor to the user, right? So we need an application window. So that will be our JFrame class. So this class is basically defined in the Java Swing package that we are going to use. Okay. And what we can see here is, and inside this window, I'm going to have a menu bar and a text area, right? You can see like this. So I have, first one is the menu bar. Okay. Menu bar, and the class we are going to use is JMenu bar. Okay. And the second one is the text area. Correct. Second one is the text area. So a menu bar is going to hold the menus, and the text area is going to hold the area that is designed for the text. Okay, so we can write text inside this text area. So the class we are going to use for this particular component is JText area. So these three classes are defined in the Java Swing package that we are going to use for our project. Okay. Now inside this menu bar, there are going to be two menus, right? So the first one is going to be the file menu, and the second one is going to be the edit menu. Correct? Edit menu. Now you can see this file menu is having three functions. The first one is new file, right? Second one is the open file. Third one is the save file, right? And the edit menu is having five functions. The first one is the cut, copy, paste, select all, and the last one is close. In the last video, we discussed about what these features are and how these features behave when we click on them, right? So these menus that we have discussed here, these are called menus, right? And the class that we are going to use is inside the Java Swing. Okay, so that is going to be JMenu. Okay, so we will be creating an object of these classes. Okay, so we will be declaring something like this, JMenu, and we are going to create an object that is file. Okay, JMenu file equals to new JMenu. Okay, so we are going to declare this. We are going to declare file menu like this. Okay, and similarly we are going to declare edit menu like this. And what are these? What are these called? These are called menu items. Okay, these all are called menu items. Okay, and the class that we are going to use is JMenu item. Fine. So this is the complete design for our project. So this is how we are going to use the different classes that are present inside the Java Swing package. And this is how we are going to use some classes of that package for our purpose, for our creation of the text editor project. Okay. So as you know that we needed a frame, so we used a JFrame. Okay, and inside that JFrame we need two objects. The first one is menu bar and the text area. So this is the menu bar and this is the text area, right? So this is the menu bar and this is the text area, correct? And inside this menu bar I have two menus. The first one is file menu and the edit menu, right? This is the file menu and this is the edit menu. And inside this file menu, like there was a drop down, right? If we click on this file menu, there was a drop down and showing the new, open, and file. So these are the menu items that are shown inside the drop down. Okay, so these are shown inside the drop down. So these are the drop down items also. Okay, so that's how we are going to use different classes that are present inside the Java Swing for our text editor project. The basic UI for our minor project, that is text editor in Java. Okay, so in the last video we basically discussed about the simple design, how we are going to use Java Swing components to build our simple text editor window application, right? Window based application. Now let's jump into the coding part. Okay, let's create a project and just implement the basic UI for this class. Okay, for these classes. Let's click on search for IntelliJ. Wait. Okay, fine. Inside this project, I'm going to create a new project, and let's call it text editor. Okay, and make sure you are selecting this new project and do not selecting any type of the generators here. We don't need them for this project right now. And select whatever location you want. Language should be in Java, and the build system should be IntelliJ, not Maven. Okay, and after that, select any JDK you want. The preferred JDK version is going to be the OpenJDK 18. Okay. Okay. The preferred JDK version is going to be OpenJDK 18. Otherwise, you can use any JDK you want. Okay. Let's click on Create button, and it will give me some little boilerplate code. Okay. So I can use to build a application. Okay. So here we have a main class. Let's just refactor it to, let me just increase the font size. Right. So let me just refactor it to text editor. Okay. So I'm going to call this class to be text editor. Okay. Now, inside this text editor class, I'm going to make the functions that are going to behave like a text editor. Okay. Now, inside this main function, let's just delete this thing. Okay. What I need to do is I'm going to create a constructor here. Okay. I'm going to create a constructor here that is going to be text editor. And here I'm going to call text editor. I'm going to create an instance for this text editor class. Okay. So new text editor class. Okay. So whenever this main function is triggered, you can see there an instance of this text editor class will be triggered. Okay. So when this will be triggered, a text editor application will be created. Fine. So how we will create an application? How we will create an application? So the first thing we need here, as we discussed in the design, is the JFrame to create a simple application window, right? We need an application window to show the application, right? So what was the class that we wanted to use for this? That is the JFrame, right? So this is the JFrame class we are going to use it. So first of all, I'm going to call it JFrame. Okay, you can see here it is belonging to Java X.Swing. So this is the package that we need to use the components that are basically predefined in the Java Swing package. Okay, so I'm going to call this, and it is going to auto import this Java X.Swing package. Okay, and I'm going to call it frame. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm just declaring data members, we can say. Okay, declaring data members of this text editor, and here I'm just declaring the properties of the text editor, right? Okay, I'm going to use this JFrame, and I'm going to call, okay, whenever this text editor constructor will be called, a frame will be created. So what I want to do, I want to initialize a frame. Okay, I want to initialize a frame. Okay, and this is going to be frame equals to new JFrame. Okay, and here I want to select some of the frame dimensions. Okay, so set dimensions of frame. How I'm going to do that? Frame dot set bounds. Okay, here I have to give 4 values. The first one is int x, int y, int width, and int height. So let me just write 0, 0, 400, 400. Okay. I will tell you what this x and y means. But this width and height, you know that, right? So this will be the width of the frame, and this will be the height of the frame. Okay. And after that, I can have frame dot set visible to be true. Okay. So this frame will not be hidden after this. Okay. So I'm just making it not hidden. Okay. And after that, I will be doing frame dot set layout. That is going to be null. And when I click on this run TextEditor.java button, okay, when I run this complete class, how it is going to look like, let's see. So you can see we have a simple window here that is having 400 pixels into 400 pixels dimensions, right? Now, what is the meaning of this 0, 0, this x and y? You notice that when I run this application, it just appeared on the top left corner of the screen, right? So that is the location of 0, 0. So uh, it is just telling me the location. It is just telling me the location or position from where the frame has to be appear. Okay. So if I select it to be 100, 100, it is just going to appear 100 pixels down and 100 pixels on the right. Okay. So X means 100 pixels on the right. Y means 100 pixels on the down. Okay. So this is how you create a simple window, simple application window inside a Java Swing. Okay, using that Java Swing classes. So what class did we use here is the JFrame class. Okay. After that, I'm going to have these two values, these two components inside this JFrame class, right? So this is the basic frame that we have right now, but inside it we don't have anything. So what we need to do first, the first one is going to be the menu bar, and the second one is going to be the text area. Let's just set the menu first. Okay, we are just going to create the menu first. Okay, it is going to create the menu first here. Fine. So what we need to do, we need to create a menu bar like we discussed in the design. Okay, we need a menu bar here, right? JMenuBar was the class for that, right? So JMenuBar, I'm going to call it menu bar. Okay, and here, before setting the dimensions of the frame, I'm going to prepare this frame here. Okay, so I'm going to initialize menu bar. Okay, inside this, menu bar is equals to new JMenuBar. Okay, I've just initialized this JMenuBar, and what I need to do here is I have to set menu bar to frame. Okay. So we are not just directly editing it. So there's a class, there's a function inside the frame. Okay, there's a function inside the JFrame class that is the set JMenuBar. Okay, in this we can directly just set the menu bar here. Okay, so we can have this menu bar. Fine. Now if I run this now, it is not going to show anything. Why? Because the menu bar does not have anything inside it. Okay, we don't have any menus inside this menu bar, right? So we need to have these menus, right? We need to have these menus here inside it. Right now it is just empty. Okay, so what we need to do, we need to initialize the menus. Okay, and how we are going to initialize the menu? Like I told you, I need to use this JMenu class. Okay, so JMenu, first one is going to be the file menu, and the second one is going to be the edit menu. Okay, so these are the file menu. Okay, so this is a JMenu object. Okay, So we need two objects. The first one is the file menu. The second one is the edit menu, correct? And here we need to initialize this menu. Okay. So before setting, okay, like before we are adding it to the frame, before we are adding the menu bar to the frame, we need to prepare this menu bar component first. Okay. Then we are going to add it to the frame. Okay. Like first of all, so this is like a hierarchy. Okay. So if I'm just before adding this menu bar, to the frame, I need to pair it first. So, okay. So these things must be complete before adding it to the frame. Okay. And before adding the file menu, I just need to create these menu items before adding it to the menu bar. Okay. So this is the hierarchy. So we need to prepare this first, then it can be added to the menu bar, and we need to prepare this first, then it can be added to the JFrame. Okay. So now what we need to do is initialize menu items. Sorry, not menus. And here I need to do file equals to new jmenu. Okay. So this shouldn't be empty. Inside it, I need to provide a string that how this menu will have a text. Okay. I need to have it file. Okay. So it is going to have a name file here, right? It is going to have a name file here. Right now, it is going to have a name file here, right? And this is the edit menu. So we need the text for that. Okay. Right now we have just provided the name for the object. Okay. But we need to define the name of the how will that menu will look. Okay. And similarly, we are going to have edit equals to new j menu. Inside it, I have to provide the string, the text that it is going to display on the menu. Okay. After that, we can just add it to the menu bar before setting the menu bar to the frame. We need to add it to the menu bar. Okay. So what we need to do is menu bar, add menus to menu bar. Okay. Menu bar dot add to add file menu. Menu bar dot add, I need to add edit menu. Okay. And when I click on this re-run option, it is going to have menu bar that is having two menus. The first one is file, the second one is edit. Okay. Very simple it is. Okay, when I click on this file menu, it is not going to show any of the menu items here. Okay, because we have not created any menu items. Okay, so before creating these menus, before adding it to the menu bar, right? Before adding it to the menu bar, I need to create these menu items, and add it to the file menu. And this file menu then will be added to the menu bar, and this menu bar will be added to the frame. Okay, so this is the flow that we need to maintain. Okay, and what is the class for creating a menu item? That is the JMenu item that we discussed in the design. Okay, so similarly, we created all of the objects. I need to create menu items as well. So JMenu items. The first one is going to be new file, open file, and the save file. Okay, and here call it file menu items, and these are edit menu items. JMenu item, cut, copy, paste, select all, and close button. Okay. So what we need to do, we need to add these menu items to the menu first. Okay, we need to add these menu items to the menu first, right? And before that, before adding these menus to the menu bar. Okay. So what we need to do, when we created this menus, okay, so before adding it to the menu bar, I need to initialize menu items. Okay, let's have it file menu items. Okay, let's initialize file menu items first. So what we have, new file equals to new menu item. Here also we need to uh, provide a text that how this button is going to look like, how this button is going to have a text. Okay, what text it is going to have. So what we need here is new window. Let's call it new window. Okay. After that, we can have open file equals to new j menu item. Let's call it open file. Okay, and we have save file. New j menu item. Let's call it save file. You can call it anything. Okay, that's up to you. You can provide any text to this particular new file. Okay, particular menu items. Okay, and you can also provide any text to the particular menu. Okay, and then we need to add these menu items to file menu. Okay. File dot add new file. File dot add open file. File dot add save file. Right. So we have these three menu items to the menus. Okay, and after that, the same we need to do for the edit menu as well. So initialize edit menu items, and here we need to do cut equals to new menu item, and here we need to provide cut, provide the text for this menu item, and then we can have copy equals to new j menu item, then we can have the text for this particular menu. Okay. Paste equals to new j menu item, then we can have paste. That we have select all equals to new j menu item, select all. Okay. Last one is close equals to new j menu item. Let's call it close. Close. Okay. And similarly to the file menu items, we need to add it to the edit menu, correct? So adding to edit menu. So edit dot add cut, edit dot add copy, edit dot add paste, edit dot add select all, edit dot add close. Okay. Now we have prepared all of the menus. Okay, we have created the menu items for the file, and then we have added to the file menu. Okay, right, we have added to the file menu. We created edit menu items, then we added these menu items to the edit menu. Now these file and edit menus are prepared, right? These file and edit menus are prepared. Now we can add these two menus to the menu bar. Okay, so you are understanding the flow, how we need to create these objects, right? Okay, let's just try to run it and see if it works fine or not. Okay, when I click on this file, you can see it shows a drop down that is having these three menu items. The first one is new window, open file, save file. And when I select this edit menu, I have this cut, copy, paste, select all and close. Okay. But right now we are missing one more thing. Okay. Right now we are missing one more thing, that is the text area. Okay. So we need this text area to complete the basic UI of our application, right? So what do we need to create is a simple J text area, right? As we discussed in the design, that we need a J text area, creating a text area. What we need, J text area area here. What we need to create here is, let's initialize it here, right behind the menu bar. Okay, initialize text area. Text area equals to new j text area. This text area has to be added to the frame. Okay, so when we have added the menu bar, we have to add text area directly to the frame. Okay. Frame dot add text area. Okay. Now let's just see if it works fine or not. So now you can see we are having a text area here. Okay. So we have the basic UI for simple text editor. Okay, that we need. Now what just left is to implement the functionalities of these functions. Correct. Now you may be wondering that why we have used setJ menu bar for the menu bar and add function for the text area. So there is a dedicated function for the, especially for menu bar. Okay, so we use this setJ menu bar for creating a menu bar. Okay, for other components we just use add method. Okay, action listener classes and action events. Okay, so right now we can see that in our project we have developed a basic UI. Correct. So if we build our project, we can see that in the menus, we have a simple menu items, right? In the file menu, we have 3 menu items. In the edit menu, we have 5 menu items, right? And we also have a text area. But when we click on these menu items, nothing happens. Okay. As of now, nothing happens. Because what is happening is, whenever we are clicking on these menu items, okay, whenever we are clicking on these menu items, an action event occurs. Okay, now what is an action event? Now suppose if we have a button, okay, if we have a button here, right, a button, what it can be anything, right, a button. Okay, if we have a button and if we click on it, okay, if we click on it, this will be referred to as an action event. Okay, this will be referred to as an action event. Or suppose if we have a checkbox, okay, if we have a checkbox that if it is correct or not, okay, if it is correct or not, if we click on it, okay, then it will be checked. If we do not click on it, if we uncheck it, then both checking and unchecking will be marked as an action event. Okay, both clicking or both checking and unchecking will be marked as an action event. Okay, and suppose there is a menu like we have in our simple project, and we have some menu items, and whenever we are selecting any of this menu item, okay, then it will be also marked as an action event. Okay, right now when we are clicking on these menu items, okay, when we are clicking on these menu items, nobody is listening to it. Okay, just action event is occurring and nothing is happening. Okay, so what we need to do, okay, what we need to do, we need to listen to this action. Let's listen to these action events. Okay, we need to listen to these action events. Okay, we need to listen to this. Okay, and when we are listening to this action event, you know that there is an action event that has been occurred at this place. Okay, now suppose if I selected a menu item, an action event has been occurred, and as we are listening to all of the action events, then we know that this particular drop down menu item has been selected. Okay, so how do we listen to these action events, these type of action events? So for our rescue, there's a package inside Java which is called interface action listener. Okay, interface action listener. This is a class which has only method that is action perform. Okay, now what this action perform does, we create an action listener. Okay, we create an action listener Okay, we create an action listener, and it listens to all of the action event, and according to the event, according to the action event, it performs an action. Okay, so there's a method inside an action listener class, which is action performed, right? Right? There's a method inside this action listener class, that is action performed. Now, suppose if there's an action event as this menu, okay? Now, in this method, we will be defining that if this action event occurs, then we will do this. Okay? If this action event does, then we will do something like that. Okay? Now, suppose if we are calling this as new file, suppose this is new file. Okay? Now we know that there is an action event that has been occurred on new file, right? So we need to check that if action event, okay, in this method we will be passing action event as a parameter. Okay, so if action event dot source, okay, if the source of this action event is equals to the new file menu item, then we will be creating a then we have to create a new file, correct? So that's how we maintain how we need to how to which action event how do we create an action. Okay, so how do we perform an action according to the buttons we have clicked, according to the checkbox we have checked, according to the menu items that we have selected. Okay, now let's implement this in our project. How we are going to do this in our text editor class, let's see. Okay, so what we need to do, we need to implement the method of action listener class. Okay, so this text editor will be implementing a method of action listener class. So action listener class is an interface, and we need to implement the method of the action listener class, that is the action perform method. Okay, right, that's the action perform method here. Okay, so we need to override this method so that we can use it according to our needs. Okay, now what we need to do, okay, so here what we are going to do is override void action performed. Why we have used override keyword? Because we are overriding, okay, we are using a method that is in the class that we are implementing. Okay, so that's why we have to override this method. Okay, and that we need to pass a parameter that is called action event. Okay, call it action event, and this must be a public method. Okay, so now whatever action happens inside this text editor class, we need to define a particular function for that action inside this method. Okay, now what we need to do, we need to do one thing more, that is we need to tie. Okay, so we need to tell the action listener class, we need to tell this action listener class that where action event can occur. Okay, where action event can occur, so I have to tie this action listener to all of the places where action event can occur, so that action listener knows that I have to listen at this place. Okay, I have to listen at this place. Okay, so otherwise action listener will not know that where action event is occurring. Okay, so we need to tell the action listener class that here an action event can occur. Okay, so that when we click on this particular menu item, then an action event is then created, and after that action listener listens to that action event and perform a particular function according to the action event. Okay, so that is the gist of the complete flow. So what we need to do, we need to add all of the action listener, we need to add action listener to these menu items. Okay, so we need to add all of the action listener to these menu items so that action listener knows that here an action event can occur. Okay, so how we are going to do that? After initializing all of the menu items, before adding it to the file menu, okay, before adding it to the file menu, we need to add action listener to file menu items. Okay, and here what we need to do is new file dot add action listener and this. What do we mean by this keyword? What do we mean by this keyword? This keyword is referring to the object of text editor class. Okay, so text editor is behaving like an action listener. Okay, it is implementing the method of action listener, so it is behaving like an action listener class. So what we need to do this action listener. Okay, so this particular object of text editor is listening to this new file. Okay, so this is the action listener. So we have added this action listener to this particular menu item. Okay, so that it can listen to this particular menu item. Okay, and after that we need to do what? Open file. We need to do same for all of the things. Listener, this, right? And after that we can have save file dot add action listener. Add this keyword. Similarly, we need to do this for all of the edit menu items. Okay, so before adding the items to the menu, we need to do this. Okay, so if you remember from the last video that we need to prepare all of the menu items before adding it to the menus. Okay, that's how the hierarchy works inside the Java Swing. Adding action listener to edit menu items. Okay, inside this I need to do what? Edit but dot add action listener, and our action listener would be this keyword. Okay, copy dot add action listener and this object. Paste dot add action listener and this object. Select all, add action listener and this object. And after that, last rows dot add action listener and this keyword. Okay, so now we have added all of the action listeners to the menu items. Okay, to the menu items. Now what we need to do, we need to just specify according to the action event what function we need to do. Okay, now let's see how it is going to work. So there are particular menu items, right? There are particular menu items, right? There are particular menu items. So whenever we are clicking on that, it generates an action event, right? It generates an action event, right? This is clear, I guess. Okay. Now this text editor we have created, our particular application, right? So this is our text editor, right? So it is also behaving like an action listener also, right? It is also behaving like an action listener because it is implementing, okay, it is implementing a method of an action listener. So yeah, we can say that this particular text editor object is also an action listener. Okay, so now we have added the action listener to all of these menu items, correct? To all of these menu items, right? So an action event is when an action event is created, it listens to them. Okay, it listens to them. Okay, when it listens to them, we know that an action event is created. Okay, we know that an action event is created. Now suppose there are menu items. Suppose this is the item 1, this is the item 2, this is the item 3, okay, and this is the item 4. Okay, Now suppose we have clicked on the item 2 and it has generated an action event. Okay. Now action listener was listening to this action event, right? Now in the action performed method, we have specified what function we need to do. Okay, what function we need to do when an action event is generated. Okay, so we have passed this action event to this method as a parameter, right? As a parameter to this action performed event. Okay, so as we have got this action event, right? As we have got this action event, let's call it AE. Okay, let's call it AE. So what we need to do, we need to get the source of this action event. Okay, we need to get the source of this action event, that where it comes from. Okay, from where it comes. Okay, so what we need to do, here in this case it is coming from the item 2, right? So we will be specifying it something like this. So AE dot get source. Okay, get source, and we need to check that if it is equal to item 1. Okay, if it is equal to item 1, okay, if we have clicked on the item 1, then we will be doing the function. Okay, we'll be doing the function according to the item 1, right? And similarly, if the AE dot source is equals to item 2, right, then we will be doing the function of item 2. Okay, you are getting the gist of the flow, right? And similarly for that, right? And you can see now when we have clicked on on this item 2, it will generate an action event. The text editor listens to this action event and it will do the action as specified in the action performed method. Okay, so that is the complete flow of action listener class. Now inside this, I need to get the source of this action event that we have generated. Okay, so we need to get the source of this action event. Now what we need to do is action event dot get source. If it is equals to, suppose if it is equals to cut. Okay, suppose if it is equals to the cut JMenu item, right? If it is equals to the cut JMenu item, then what we need to do, we need to perform cut operation. Okay, similarly, if action event dot get source is equals to copy, okay, then we need to perform copy operation. Okay, so this is how we are going to implement all of the actions using the action listener class. Okay, so we will be building these particular actions in the next videos. Thank you. Hello everyone, I'm Priyansh Bhattacharya, and in this video we will be implementing edit menu items functionalities. Okay, so what are edit menus functionalities? Let's just revise. So the first one is the cut operation, second one is the copy operation, third is paste operation, right? Fourth is select all operation, right? And the last one is close operation. Okay, okay, fine. If you want to do it on our own, okay, if you want to write complete algorithm for all of these functionalities, that would be too much. So for our rescue, there's an inbuilt methods inside the text area. Okay, so we inside the JText area class. Inside the JText area class, we have some methods. The first one is cut, second one is copy, third one is paste, right? And the last one is select all. So This JTextArea class that is defined in Java Swing package has already predefined methods for these functionalities, right? So what we need to do, we just need to call these methods for these particular operations. Okay. So in the last video, we talked about how we need to map the action event to the action listener, and how we need to map these action events to the menu items, right? So what we need to do now is just implement the operations. Okay. So how do we need to do that? In the cut operation, what we need to do is text area. We call the object. We call the object, and inside this object, we just need to call the method of this JText area. That is cut method. Okay. Similarly, we can do the same for all of the action events, all of the menu items. Okay. So here we can have area dot copy, right? And we can do the same for paste and close on. Okay. Action event dot get source. If it is equals to paste, we can perform paste operation. Okay. And inside this, we can do text area dot paste method. Okay. Similarly, we can do for select all also. Action event dot get source equals to select all. And what we need to do is text area dot select all method. Okay. So what we have done here is perform select all operation. Okay. Now let's just test these functionalities that we have built inside our text editor application. Let's build our application and let's write some text. So hi, I am Priyansh Nagar. Okay. And when I go to this edit menu, if I select some text, okay, if I select some text, let's select my name and click on cut. You can see we have just cut from the text area. Okay. Now if we click on paste, it can again paste all of these text that we have copied that we have cut to the clipboard, right? And if we just copy the complete, if we just click on the select all, then it can select all of the text that is present inside the text area, right? And if we click on copy and click enter and again click on paste, then you can see all of these functionalities are working correctly. Okay. And the last functionality of the edit menu items is the close button, right? Event dot get source equals to close. After that, what you need to do is perform close editor operation, right? So how we are going to do that? We just need to exit from the code, right? If you think about it, if you think about how we can create this operation, we just need to exit from the code, correct? We just need to exit from the code. So for this particular operation, we just don't need to depend on anything. We just call the class that is present inside the Java, that is system dot exit method. Okay, system dot exit method, and it will just exit from the console. Okay, so just it just says exits from the console, right? So what we need to do is system dot exit, and we need to provide the status inside this exit method, that is 0. So what do we mean by status 0 is we have just closed the application. Okay, we have just closed the code. Now if we just stop and rerun it, and let's test our close operation, you can see when I click on close, it just exit with the code 0. Okay, so that's all of the functionalities that is present inside the edit menu, and we have built all of the functionalities inside the edit menu items, right? So what we need to do is to implement the file menu items, right? We just need to implement the file menu items functionalities. How we can implement the file menu functionalities, right? So in the file menu, we have three features. The first one is to be the new window, right? The second one is to be the open file, right? And the third one is the save file. Okay, fine. So we'll be building the open file first. Okay, so we'll be building the open file first, and after that we'll be building the second. Uh, we'll be building the save file at the second, and in the last we'll be building this. Okay, so the structure of open file and save file is almost similar, so we'll be building it together. Okay, so let's see, let's understand the structure, let's understand the flow, how we can just open the file. Okay, how, let's understand how this feature works. Okay, so let's go to notepad and see how this feature works. Okay, so right now I have an notepad, okay, with an empty text area, right? And inside this, when I go to file and when I click on open, okay, and I select for any file. So if you remember for the first video, I can just use the save file demo file, right? And just open it. And you can see, like in the save file demo, we have this particular text. So what happens is, when I open, when I click on the open menu item, it just basically triggers a file chooser, right? It basically opens a file chooser. And inside this file chooser, I have to just select the file, select the path and select the file, right? I can use this file. I have to select the path and I have to select the file, and I click on open button. And when I click on open button, I have this particular text inside this, and whatever text that is contained inside the text file, okay, that will be pasted into this text area. Okay, so let's just revise what we have learned here. Let me just zoom it. Okay, fine. Now what we have to do is, okay, in our text editor, what we need in our text editor, this is our text editor. Okay, now when I click on open button, okay, when I click open file, okay, when I click on open file, I want to open a file chooser. Okay, I want to open a file picker. Okay, so what I want is open file picker, right? And after that, what I want to do, I want to select the path of that, right? Select path and the file. Okay, select the path and file that I want to open. Okay, and after that, when I select it, I want to click on open button. Right? And when I click on open button, what happens is, there was a file, right? There was a file. I can call it file.txt. Okay, and there was some text contained inside it, right? Now what I want to copy this text to this text area. Okay, we have a text area here, right? So what I want is, I want to copy all of the text. Okay, copy all of the text and paste the text inside the text area, right? So when I click on open button, this happens. Okay, so this is the complete flow, how we are going to implement it. Okay, so when I click on open button, okay, an action event will be triggered, right? An action event will be triggered. And our action performed method will be listening to that action event, right? So what I want to do first is this step, right? I want to open the file picker. So there's a class inside the Java Swing that is called JFileChooser. Okay. So I want to use this particular class and I will just initialize it. Okay. And inside this, I'm just going to select the path, and this will be my second step. And after that, when I will click on open button, okay, when I will click on open button, I have to copy and paste the text to the text area. So these are all of the steps, right? And when I talk about the save file, instead of this open button, okay, I just have to uh, have a save button, right? When I click on save button, the all of the text inside the text area goes to that file. Okay, that is just the reverse step, right? So let's talk about open file function first. Okay, so let's implement it. I think you understand the flow of the open file, right? Okay, let me just increase the font size. Okay, now what I need to do, if action event dot get source is equals to open file. Okay, when I click on open file, I need to do what I need to do. I need to open a file choose, right? That is the first step. What I want to do is j file chooser equals to new j file chooser, and here I need to uh, tell the file chooser that what will be the current directory path. So when I open the file chooser, it will open at this particular path that I provide here. So let's just provide C drive here. Okay, it will open always in C drive. Okay, and after that, what I need to do is I need to get the choose option. Okay, so what do I mean by choose option? Basically, if I click on open button, or cancel button, right? So here I need to get file chooser dot show open dialog. Okay, and the parent component will be null. Right. Okay. Now, if that choose option, okay, if that choose option is the approve option, okay, or we can say the open button, if we have clicked on open button, if we have clicked on open button, and how do we check it? If choose option is equals to, there's a constant that is defined in the file chooser, that is jfilechooser dot approve option. Okay, so inside this, if what we need to do first is the getting the selected file. Okay, getting the selected file. So how we get the selected file? So we have chosen some file inside the file chooser. Okay, we have chosen some file inside the file chooser. We don't need to write the logic for that inside our code, because that is defined only inside this jfilechooser class. Okay, so what we need to do is just get the selected file. Okay, how do we get the selected file? We just create a new file object. Okay, there's a file object inside Java. File equals to file chooser dot get selected file. Okay, and after that, what we need to do is the get the path of selected file. Okay, so we need the specific path of that selected file. So how do we do that? String file path equals to file dot get path. Okay. Now we need to we need to create a try and catch block. So what a try and catch block is, it basically used to handle the exceptions, right? So there can be some exceptions here. Let's just wrap it inside the try and catch block. Okay. Now what we need to do here is, first of all, we need to initialize the file reader, right? We need to read the file first. So what we need to do is initialize file reader. Okay. How do we do that? File reader, file reader equals to new file reader file path. We basically initialize the file reader from the file path of that file. Okay. And there is a exception that we need to handle here, that is the file not found exception. Okay. And we need to handle it. So let's just print this stack trace of that. Okay. Now what we need to do, we need to initialize a buffer reader. Okay. Now buffered reader basically like a scanner class. Okay, so buffer reader class is basically like a scanner class. But what we are doing is, using buffer reader, we are going to read the contents of that file. Okay, so this will be initialized using the file reader we have created. Okay, and after that, what we need to do is, we need to create the contents of the file from the file, right? What we need to do is, now we are just reading these values, right? We are just reading these value, what are whatever string that is present inside that file, right? And then we have to just set the text to the text area, right? Now we just have to read this particular string inside the file.txt. Now what we need to do, we will create two strings. First is intermediate string, and the second is output string. Okay, so intermediate string will be holding the content of a current line. Okay, and output will be holding this text that is complete text. Okay, so we'll be pasting the complete text inside the output string. Okay, so what do we mean by this? We will be creating string intermediate equals to empty string, and an output string, an empty string. Okay. Now what we are going to do is read contents of file line by line. Okay, now we will be creating a while loop, and inside this while loop, I'm going to have intermediate equals to buffered reader dot read line, and if it is not equals to null, I'm going to jump into this while loop. Okay, now we need to do what? Output plus equals to, we are concatenating the intermediate string, we are concatenating the current line to the complete text. Okay, so what we are doing, we are just reading a line and we are just pasting it to the output. Okay, then we are reading another line, then we are pasting it to the output. Okay, and what we need to do, by every line is separated by a backslash n. Okay. Now you can see we are just having a red line here. That means we have just not handle an exception that is called IO exception. Okay, so we need to catch this exception. So catch IO exception, IO exception, IO exception dot print stack. Okay. And we can just collapse these catch blocks. Now what we need to do is set the output string to text area, right? That's what is left here. What we need to do is text area dot set text, and inside the set text I am going to write output string, and this will complete our open file function. Okay, let's see if it works fine or not. Okay, now I have opened my text editor, and inside this text editor I have just, when I go to the open file, it opens up a file picker. Okay, and it opens in the C drive by default. Okay, so that's what we have provided here. Now let's go to some file that we can display. Okay, so inside this, let's go to desktop, and inside the desktop, let's just select a txt file. Okay, let's just select this hello.txt file. Okay, and when I click on open button, it is just going to read all of the text, all of the contents that is present inside that hello.txt file, and then paste it to the text area. Okay, so if you go to desktop and just check it in the notepad, that is also the same text that is contained inside the hello.txt file. Okay, now you can see that if it is working fine or not. Okay, the implementation part of file menu functionalities. So we have built the open file functionality, right? We have built the open file functionality. You can see the particular flow of that open file function. So, okay, if we want to do, if you want to implement a save file functionality, okay, that is almost similar to the open file, right? So what happens in a save file? Let's see. Now suppose this is my text file, okay, and inside this I have this particular text, okay. So when I go to file and when I click on save as, okay, so this particular save file function that we create inside the text editor, that will behave like save as function, okay. So it opens up a file picker like we did in the open file functionality, and inside this file picker, I'm just going to select the path where I have to save it, and I have to save it at desktop, and when I can just put the file name here. Okay, so let's call it saved file notepad. Okay, save file notepad, and when I click on this save button, it has to be saved at the desktop, and we can see this is the particular save file notepad file that we have created. Okay, so what was the flow of this? So okay, instead of this open file, we just clicked on the save file, right? We just clicked on the save file here, right? And it opens a file picker that is same as open file only, right? And what we need to do, we have to select the file path and the file name. So that's the same as the open file functionality, right? So instead of this open button, I have a save button, right? And when I click on the save button, it does not copy and paste to the text area. Instead, it basically get the text area, get text from text area, and saves it to file.txt. Okay, it basically creates a new file, and inside this file, it basically saves the text and save it to the file.txt. Okay, so that is only the difference between the save file and open file functionality. That is the step 4. Okay, so we just need to change the step 4 here. Okay, so okay, let's just go to this file and implement functionality, right? And here what I need to do is just create a new if, and if action event dot get source, if it is equals to the save file functionality, what we need to do is initialize a file picker like we did in the open file. What we need to do is j file chooser equals to new j file chooser. It basically opens up some C drive. You can put any current directory path if you want. Okay, and get choose option from file chooser. Okay, similarly, what we did in the open file functionality, right? And choose option that has to be an integer value. Okay, we need to note that. So in choose option equals to file chooser, okay, file chooser dot show save dialog. In the last part, we basically use show open dialog because it shows an open button as an approve option. Okay. Now inside the show save dialog, it basically shows a save button as an approve option. Okay. So you will notice the difference here. Okay. And we have to put component parent to be null. Okay. So basically, when I open up a file chooser instead in this, so the approve option was open button, right? If you click on stop and rerun, and when I go to open file, you can see the approve option was the open button, right? And if I want save button to be here, then I need a show save dialog, not show open dialog. Okay, and check if we clicked on save button here. Choose option is equals to j file chooser dot approve option. Okay. What we need to do? What we need to do? We need to create a new file here because file does not exist, right? In the last open file functionality, file already exists, right? We need to just save. We just need to read the file contents of the file and just save it to the text file. But here we need to create a new file. Okay, we need to create a new file. So create a new file, right? And then we need to save the text inside this file. Okay, so what we need to do? Okay, what we need to do is create a new file with chosen directory path. Okay, we basically selected some directory path, right? And file name. Sorry, choose. Inside this, I have to create a new file. File equals to new file object, and inside this, I have to put file chooser dot get selected file. Okay, whatever file we have selected, and get the absolute path plus dot txt. What happens in this statement? Okay, what happens in this statement? Basically, we opens up a file picker. Okay, opens a file picker, and we have some path here. Okay, we have some path here, right? And we have a file name here, right? We have some file name here, and we have a save button, and we have a cancel button here, right? Now, when we click on save button, when we click on save button, a new file object will be created. A new file will be created with this path. Okay, with this path. So what is this path? File chooser dot get selected file dot get absolute path. So this will be so what file path is this path, okay, where the path is situated, path plus this file name that we have entered here plus .txt extension. Okay, plus dot txt extension, right? So if the path was desktop, okay, if the path was c drive slash desktop, right? For example, and if we selected a file name to be my file, right? So this file path will be something like this: c drive slash desktop slash this file name, okay, whatever file name we have entered, my file, and this .txt extension, okay. So with this file path, we have created a new file instance, okay. After this, I need to just save all of the contents of the text area to this file. So let's add a try and catch block like we did in the open file functionality and add some exceptions here. Now, instead of using file reader, because we don't need to read the files of this file, right? We just need to write this file, okay? We just need to write this file. This time we just need to write this file, okay? We don't need to read this file, we just need to write this file. So what we need, instead of a file reader, we need a file writer here. Okay? So file writer equals to new file writer, and which file do we need to write is the file instance that we have created here. Okay. Initialize file writer. And after this, what we need to do is initialize buffered writer. Okay. Similarly, we need buffered writer instead of buffered reader here. So initialize buffered writer or buffered writer. Sorry, buffered writer equals to new buffered writer, and we'll be using this file writer to be as companion. Okay. And after that, what we need to do is we use a function that is present inside a text area to write this buffered writer. Okay. So write contents of text area to file. Okay, that's what we need to do. How do we do that? Text area dot write, and using this buffered writer, we are going to write the file. Okay. And we need to close the buffered writer. Okay. We need to why we are having these red lines, because we need to handle the exceptions. What exception do I need to handle? The first one is to be the IO exception, right? So IO exception dot print stack trace. You can see that all of the red lines have gone. That was the only exception that we need to handle. Okay. Fine. Let's test this functionality. This is complete. Let's test this functionality. Now, when I go to this file menu and select the save file menu item, it opens up a file picker. Now you can see instead of open button, there is a save button here because we have selected show save dialog, right? Now we have to select a path. Okay, so let's select a path. And the desktop, I have to save a file. Okay. Now let's just call it my saved file. Okay. So let's just write some text before saving it. So hi, I am Priyansh, and let's say okay, so this is my first saved file. And click on save file, select the path again, desktop, and call it my saved file. And when I click on the save button, it has saved the file. Okay, So let's go to desktop and opens up my save file, and you can see inside this notepad I am having the same text that I entered inside the text area. Okay, so this was all about the save file functionality. Okay, now the only functionality left inside this text editor application is the new window, correct? So let's just implement that new window. Okay, so this is going to be very easy. Okay, this is going to be very easy. So what do I need is, okay, when I click on new window, okay, when I click on new window, what I want, if there's a text editor, okay, there's a text editor, I want to initialize another text editor, right? That's what happens with new window, right? I want to initialize a new text editor application, right? So what we need to do, how we are running this application, how we are just executing this application. So whatever code that is pasted inside the main function, right? That is basically executing when I click on run button, right? So what we have inside the text area, that is the what we have inside the main function, that is the text editor equals to new text editor, right? We are just initializing a text editor instance. So what we have to do for creating a new text editor application, similarly, this thing, right? We just need to create a new file text editor instance, right? So if this is clear, what I need to do is if action event dot get source is equals to new file is equals to new file. What I need to do is create a new text editor instance, right? Let's call it new text editor. Okay. Let's stop and rerun it. Now when I go to file and when I click on new window, you can see we have another window of text editor application. How we can add finishing UI touches to the application and discuss a little bit further scope for that. Okay. So right now, when I click on the run application, and if I write some text, okay, if I write some text here, and then it goes out of the borders of the application, nothing happens, right? So what I want to have a scroll bar, right? So we need to have a scroll bar to make it more plausible to the user, right? To make it more user interactive or make UI more better. Okay. So in the vertical also, we don't have a scroll bar here, right? You can see. When I click on enter, nothing happens. What we need to do, our first step is to add horizontal and vertical scroll bars. Okay. Before that, let's understand the structure, how we can add it. Okay. So right now, in the first, we had the structure something like this, right? We had the J frame, right? And inside this J frame, we had menu bar, right? And besides menu bar, we had text area. Okay, we had directly our text area. Fine. Now, to make it this text area scrollable, okay, to make this text area scrollable, we need to wrap it. Okay, we need to wrap it inside the scroll pane. Okay, so there's a class inside Java Swing, scroll pane. Okay, so scroll pane basically make everything inside it to be a scrollable. Okay, so makes everything inside to be scrollable. Okay, and if we need to wrap it inside a scroll pane, okay, So scroll pin should be contained inside a panel. That's also the case. Okay. So our new structure will be something like this. Our frame, we had menu bar, right? And there were some menus, right? Inside it. We don't need to talk about that. But yeah, instead of having text area directly, we will be having a panel. So panel is something like a content pane. Okay. So it's something like a container. And inside this container, I am going to have our scroll pane, which makes text area scrollable. And inside the scroll wheel, I am going to have our text area. Okay. Now, if we make this text area scrollable, also we can add some borders inside this content pane. Okay. So we can make it more beautiful for that. Fine. Now let's just go to the IntelliJ and just implement this functionality. So in the constructor, okay, when we were adding directly to the text area, let's just remove this particular line. Okay, we don't need to add it directly to the text, directly to the frame. Okay, what we need to do, we need to create a content. Okay, so create content. Okay, and inside this, I have JPanel, and panel equals to new JPanel, and panel we can have some borders inside it. So let's add some borders. Set border, new empty border. Let's add some dimensions. 5 pixel on the left, 5 pixel on the top, 5 pixel on the down, 5 pixel on the right. Okay, so top, left, bottom, right. For that we can have panel dot set layout. We can have new border layout. Inside this I have 0 pixel. Okay. That is just the horizontal gap between the border. Okay, and that is between the vertical gap between the border. Okay, fine. We have created a content pane. Okay, after that, what we need to do is add the text area to the panel. Okay, so panel dot add text area and border layout dot center. Okay, this has to be in the center. Right? And what we need to do is create a scroll pane and make it scrollable. Make this text area to be scrollable. Okay, so create scroll pane. Inside the scroll pane, I'm going to have scroll pane equals to new scroll pane, and inside this I'm going to have a text area. Then I need to add the options. Okay, so what I need to do is when I have the text more than the particular border, okay, more than the border of the application, then only I need a scroll bar. Okay, I don't need it always. Okay, so we can add a constant here, that is j scroll pane dot horizontal. Sorry, the first one has to be vertical. So vertical scroll bar as needed. You can use always, you can use never, you can use anything. Okay, so for our case, we are going to use vertical scroll bar as needed. Okay, and for that we can have j scroll pane for the horizontal as well, horizontal scroll bar as needed. Okay. So we have created a new scroll pane. What we need to do is add the scroll pane to the panel. Okay, so what we need to do is add scroll pane to panel, and panel dot add scroll pane. Okay. So basically it happens something like this. So scroll pane what was adjusting according to the text area, right? And we are also having the text area directly to the panel. So if we do this only, it will only add a scroll pane, okay? That will be behaving like a text, that will be adjusting to the text area. But we don't have a text area to the panel, okay? So we need to add text area to the panel separately as well, okay? And when we add it to the panel, then we can add a scroll pane that adjusts according to the text area. Fine. Now what we need to do is add panel to frame. Okay, so what we need to do is frame dot add panel. Okay. Now let's just see if it works or not. Just stop and rerun. Now you can see we have a little content pane. You can see there's a gap between them. And we have added a border of 5 pixel and 5 pixels, right? And inside this, we have a text area. I think it looks more plausible to the user, I guess, right? And if we add a text here, and when we go outside of the borders of the content pane, okay, so it basically automatically adds a horizontal scroll bar, right? And if we put an enter, it also adds the vertical scroll bar as well. Right? I think it behaves more like a notepad now. Right? So that was all about this text editor. And if you want to add a title of this particular application, you can add a title of frame. So before making it visible, we can add here frame dot set title, and here we can have text editor. Okay. And when we stop and rerun, we have a title for our application also. Okay, we have a file menu, we have an edit menu, and all of these functionalities have been implemented. So this was all about complete text editor application in Java Swing. And if you want to implement more functionalities like the Notepad has, you can do, obviously, you can do some research about how we can implement the undo, how we can implement the redo. So basically we use stacks for creating undo feature, right? We use redo, we use stacks for creating undo and redo features, right? And we can also implement this find next, find previous, replace, go to. That's up to you. So that was the further score of the application, right? And this was all about the application. Thank you all.